The topic for this video is pharmaceutical packaging. In this video, we'll be covering what actually we understand by the word packaging, what is the criteria, or you can say the ideal characteristics for packaging, then what are the types of containers used in packaging like glass, plastic, metal, and so on. Also, before proceeding, I would like to add something, that why do we require, or why do we have a need to study pharmaceutical packaging? So the main idea behind whole studying this process is that packaging is equally essential, so does the formulation. Like, we know that there are a proper steps, proper stages of how our, for instance, a tablet gets processed in a pre-formulation study. Then after pre-formulation you get actual formulation of your tablets, right? Your API mixed with some excipients. Then later you do some evaluation, or you can say quality control parameters. Then after that you do packaging. So packaging is not only just for transportation, but it will provide us with the ensuring that our ingredient, our API or excipients or our drug is safe and is stable, right? And also it adds to some presentation as well. Okay, now if good packaging, good presentation is there of the packaging and it is quite attractive, then the patient compliance improves. Okay, so now we will look into what actually do we mean by packaging. So basically it is an economical means of providing protection, presentation, identification, information, containment, integrity and stability for a product during storage, transportation, display, and until it is consumed throughout the shelf life. Now in this definition we have a lot of important parameters. One, that packaging, basically it is not only for the protection. Obviously the main point is to protect your whole you can say drug or your API or your excipients or anything, right? So basically it is an outer covering which protects your formulation, but it adds to the presentation as well. As I just said, that yes, if there is a good packaging, an attractive packaging can make good patient compliance, right? Then we have identification. Now there are many pharmaceutical companies that provide us with a packaging that is very unique. And what do you mean by unique is that that is an identification mark, right, for the companies, so that you know that if a drug is from Novartis, then it will have probably a identification mark, and that particular patient, for instance, would always say to the chemist that okay, I want that particular pharmacist or a chemist, so that I want that particular drug from, say, Novartis. So in order to promote the brand equity as well, and also for the identification, then it provide the packaging obviously do provide us with the information, that what is the shelf life, what are the ingredients, how to take, what it contains, and what is the expiry period, manufacturing, we all know that, right? So packaging does contain that information. Then containment, obviously the amount of drug, how much ingredient is present in that container is equally important, right? Then integrity and stability for a product during storage, transportation, display, and until it is consumed throughout the shelf life, right? Now the next thing that will come is that what are the ideal characteristics. Okay, what are the ideal characteristics in order to make any container suitable for packaging? First, it should be able to protect our ingredients against the environment as in oxidation reaction. It should not be easily oxidized, atmospheric air, and so on, moisture and everything. Then it should be non-reactive with the product, obviously, because if two things get mixed up, it does react with each other, then at the end of the day our formulation gets distorted and the actual mechanism of action gets degraded. Okay, also must not impart any color or odor. Also, it should not change the color of your ingredients or of your formulations. It should be non-reactive, basically. Then it should be non-toxic as well, right? Non-toxic, or it should be, you can say the packaging material should be inert. Okay, then it should be FDA approved. Okay, it is should be US FDA approved. Then it should must meet tamper resistance requirements. Okay, that it should be able to resist. The tamper is basically a sheet, thin sheet, so it should have that particular requirement of tamper resistance. We will discuss this particular tamper resistance requirements in further slides, but yes, these are some of the major characteristics of a packaging material. All right, next next we have what are the functions of packaging. So basically major we have 8, there could be much more, but these are some of the 8 that I summarized. The first and the most important is your product identification. Now what does that mean is product identification, as I told you that product identification or market equity is, as I told you, to mark that particular product as of a particular brand, right? Just I gave the example of Novartis. Also sometimes it is easier, for example, I'll take just a common example of a Digene tablet. There's a pink tablet and you know that there's a mark of Digene written in it, right? Now any person that goes to the pharmacist or a chemist shop, he or she would probably, if he or she is not aware about the tablet that it is Digene, he would tell that, okay, I have taken that pink color tablet, and it is written that Digene also, and give me that particular tablet. So because obviously there are many customers who do not know the actual drug name, right, or brand name, so that's why that what marks the product identification. Next is product protection. What does it mean by product protection? Is that basically our main focus is that it should prevent against spoilage, breakage and leakage. There should not be any leakage of the ingredients that is present in your packaging container. It should not break easily. Also there should not be a spoilage. Then facilitating the use of the product. Facilitating the use of the product is equally important, just like a protection or identification, right? So that in order to provoke or you can say accelerate the patient compliance to use more of our products. Then product promotion. As I told you, product identification, promotion and facilitating the use of the product is one on the same thing. Basically market strategies hoti hai. Then I told you the 5th is marketing. 6th, convenience. Obviously packaging should be such that it should provide minimum discomfort to the patient. Okay, then 7th is barrier protection, that obviously it should provide you a barrier so that it can properly protected against all the environmental damage, be it oxidation, be it reduction, be it moisture or anything. Then security. Obviously the content should remain secure in your packaging. So that's what are the basic 8 summarized functions of packaging. Then now with a package there are hazards that are encountered. Some are mechanical, some are climatic, some are biological. Mechanical could be like, for example, there's an immediate, suppose you have a medication, okay, properly packed, and you by mistake dropped, okay, so when you drop it there will be an impact damage to it, so it should not happen. That is mechanical hazards. Then compression, like that's fun. Sometimes you keep a tablet of PCM in your bag and sometimes you get your hands over your bag, and so there should not be a compression, because the compression ultimately will degrade your drug and would probably distort the formulation. Then abrasion, vibration, these are some of the mechanical hazards that we generally encounter with our packaging. Then we have climatic hazards. Climatic could be moisture, temperature, pressure, light, atmospheric air and so on, right? So these are some of the climatic hazards, and we as a pharmacist, we do provide us with the packaging such that it should minimize all these 3 hazards, that is mechanical, climatic or biological. Biological could be microbiological hazards and chemical hazards, which would be the interaction of the glass ingredients with that of your formulation, right? So these are some of the hazards that whenever we are making or selecting any packaging material, we do remember that all these three things should be minimized. Okay. Then types of packaging, we generally have three types of packaging: primary, secondary, and tertiary. All right. Primary is when you have a direct contact with the product itself. Like you can see, this is the basically an example of a day-to-day life. This is cornflakes, and the main box outside, that is secondary packaging. But this, the inside, which is in direct contact with your ingredients or a product itself, is what we call as primary packaging. You can see these are some of the primary packaging examples. Then secondary packaging is basically to group out the whole this primary packaging. So then we have secondary. You can see these are some of the examples of secondary. All right. Then we have tertiary, and tertiary is a bit optional also. Primary and secondary is compulsory. Tertiary is optional. It is used for bulk handling, warehouse storage. You can see बेसिकली कार्टन्स पे कार्टन्स होते हैं जो डब्बे बड़े बड़े बाहर जो कवर करने के लिए एक आउटर सरफेस को, दैट इज टर्शरी पैकेजिंग. सो वी हैव प्राइमरी पैकेजिंग, then we have secondary, and then we have tertiary packaging. Basically, a number of packaging like primary, secondary or tertiary is just to make our product safe and secure. Okay, so that's why it says tertiary packing. We do it for bulk handling and warehouse storage, so that the transportation, in any case the transportation is not hampered, okay, and our product is not destroyed. Then the most important is your packaging material. So basically 4 types. It can be much more, but these are some of the 4 main types of packaging material. One is glass, second is plastic, third is rubber, and fourth is metal. Glass, we can discuss that it is composed of sand, soda ash, limestone, and cullet. And basically these are some of the elements that are generally used in the preparation of the glass. What are the advantages of glass? It is hygienic and suitable for sterilization. Non-reactive depending on the grade, because we will be looking into that there are 4 types of grades and there might be some leakage of the glass material to the ingredients. Transparent, good protection property, easily labeled, withstand the variation in temperature and pressure. It is economical, does not deteriorate with age, and is impermeable to gases and moisture. Now these are some of the basic parameters, or you can say advantages of a glass. We all have seen that, nowadays the use of glass is a bit low, because obviously due to its disadvantage of being heavy and fragile, and also it releases alkali to the aqueous preparations. Whenever you are putting some aqueous thing in the glass container, there is a release of alkali. Then photosensitive drugs cannot be protected. Okay, because photosensitive drugs generally require amber color coating. That's why I have mentioned here that this is the amber color coated glass material. Okay, what we are generally see is of a normal transparent glass, but if you do an amber color coating, then the glass becomes amber coated, and photosensitive drugs can be protected when amber color glass is used. Glass is a chemical substance and products may react with it. So obviously this is a major disadvantage of the reaction of the glass contents with your ingredient, and also it is quite heavy and fragile, and that's why the use is minimized. Then we have types of glass, and this is very important. Basically it is categorized into 4 types, and also we have lime glass, colored glass, and neutral glass, but the major type is 4. One is neutral or borosilicate. This is the strongest one. Then we have treated soda lime glass. Then we have soda lime glass and general purpose soda. Now the type is bifurcated with respect to, you can say, fragility. That basically in the first one it is quite heavy also, and it is quite heavy and fragile. So with the treated soda lime, it is bit less fragile, and also the weight is bit lighter. Then soda lime glass, more soda lime is added, then it is more lighter than general purpose soda. So basically this is just a bifurcation. Also the use differs. Like for some there will be type 1 is recommended, for some materials type 4, then some colored I told you amber color glass is used for the photosensitive drugs. Then this is what I was talking about, was that package type, it can be ampoules, vials, and ampoules, the type 1, type 2 and type 3 can be used. Like first 3 can be used, because type 1 basically aqueous injectables of any pH can be used. If the aqueous injectables of pH less than 7, then type 2. If it is non-aqueous injectable, then it is type 3. Vials is aqueous injectables of any pH, like type 1. Aqueous injectables again of pH less than 7, then type 2. You should remember all these things, because that ultimately corresponds with the type. Like type 1, we generally use any pH. If it is less than 7, then type 2. If it is non-aqueous, we generally use type 3. Vials can be used with any, you can say, and basically for dry powders, for parenteral use, we use type 4. That is your general purpose soda class. Then we have bottles and jars. You can see that generally we use type 4. For the nasal and ear drops as well, we use type 4. Okay, which is basically type 4, I told you, is the general purpose soda. Then we have a dropper, which generally we use dropper, basically also type 4. Aerosol container recommended is type 1, okay, at any pH. So after that, we can see that ultimately glasses also tends to undergo some kind of an evaluation. Like we have test for surface hydraulic resistance and test for hydraulic resistance of powdered glass. So basically what happens in the powdered glasses, you generally crush your glass and see the resistance. And in the first one, there's a surface. Yeah, you do not crush it. It is just a proper glass container, and you tend to test on the surface that how much absorption has happened. So no need to go deep into this, but yes, you need to know that there is some kind of an hydraulic resistance or a chemical resistance evaluation test for the glass containers. So with this, we come to an end for this part of the video, which we discussed about the types of glasses. Also, we discussed about the packaging materials. So in this video, we discussed about the glass, and in the next video, we will be discussing about the other types of packaging materials, which is your metal and plastics. Okay. So till then, thank you.